You're here. Welcome to the Masterminding Success podcast. They say if you want to be successful in business and in life, then surround yourself with successful people. So pull up a seat. The mastermind is about to begin.
Have you noticed that the letters X and Y are used more in algebra than they are in the English words?
That is very true. I've never noticed it before, but now you mention it. Yeah.
Oh, hey, you made it. Glad you could join us for another episode of the Masterminding Success podcast. We're your hosts, Keith Wheeler
And Nuria Colby.
And what are we going to be talking about today, Nuria?
Today is a topic that we've both kind of been through or we've got some experience in, and that is, should you quit and go all in?
Yes.
So
yeah,
that is the big question. Should you quit your job and go all into your business or your side hustle? Talking about side hustles, the word hustle to me was always a negative thing. Now it's turned into a positive thing.
Yeah.
Now it's all about working. But was that a negative word to you as well before?
It was there was definitely negative connotations that came to mind.
That's what I thought.
Until I really started getting into business and figured out that the hustle is kind of what makes it exciting for me. And also what I think it makes it exciting because that seems to be when I get, the best results. Now hustling can be used as a negative, hustling is, could be like, when you're trying to trick people and things like that.
Exactly. Yes.
And so I guess it's all on how you approach it. But yeah, when we talk about
it's how old
hustle,
we are. It's how old we are as well.
That could be. But when you talk about a side hustle, we're talking about, a business you have on the side, with, exactly. a passion, it doesn't necessarily have to be an official business. Like you don't have to have a business name or anything like that to be considered a side hustle. But, and I think the phrase side hustle is very popular right now. And so I think most people know what we're talking about. But at what point do you say, okay, I'm really just going to go all in, I'm going to, as I've said before, I'm going to fire my 9-to-5 boss and I'm just going to go for it. And that can be a scary, scary decision to make because, you go from having, this, this protection, this, safety net, if you will, of a full-time job or part-time, and basically tossing that to the side and saying, I'm going all in on me, and I've got, no safety net, nothing to kind of help me. There's a lot of, anxiety that can come with that, and a lot of, just flat out fear that can come with that. And so, it's not something to take lightly at all.
No, not at all. I always say that to people. I always say when it comes to, for example, creating low content books, I always say to people, do this as a side hustle because you don't want to leave your regular, your consistent work and then not be able to have that income coming in because anything can happen.
Mm-hmm.
And especially with side hustles, I mean, they tend to be things that you try, see if they work. And even when they start working, I'm very aware of the fact that anything that I've built so far could be taken away. I know that, but that, I guess that can happen with any job as well. That can happen with a regular job. You can be made redundant, especially nowadays. The world is in turmoil and we've got so many problems where work isn't it's not as secure as it used to be.
Right.
So I think it's a tricky one. It really is a tricky one because I know that a lot of us, as in my case before, I was so fed up with my job. I really wanted to leave it and just go all in. But you have to stop yourself and you have to make sure that you've got all your ducklings in a row or whatever the expression is, and then do it when you feel absolutely. That's my point of view. Do it when you feel the time is right. Don't rush it. but I'm sure there's other opinions as well. I don't know. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, before we go any further, let's make it clear that we're not giving advice. We're giving our opinions, our experience. But I mean, if I would give any advice, it would be, talk to your spouse or whoever else is involved in your life and get their input as well. Again, no one person should be making that decision solely on their own. But yeah, I mean, like with me, I actually still do, even though I've got a bunch of side things, I've got the course and the YouTube channel and the books and the coaching, I still do have a full-time job. And, many times people have asked me why I haven't, quit my full-time job and done this. If you're so successful with your business, then why haven't you taken that step? And there are a lot of things to take into consideration. One is my full-time job pays me really well, but not just monetarily, but the benefits and all of that. And it's not just me I have to think of. I've got a family. If it was just me and I was on my own, I probably would have done it a long time ago. Because then, and it's easier to make that decision when you're single and there's no one else that is relying on you, because then it's one of those things where, okay, I can, if it doesn't work out, I can eat, ramen and whatever I need to do to kind of get things back to where they need to be financially. But when you do have dependents and people relying on you, it makes it harder to make that decision. And that's why I said you definitely want to discuss it with those people. But I mean, I would say one thing you definitely want to do is make sure that you have that nest egg set aside. Because it will, if you're seeing success in your side hustle, your side gig, and figure out realistically, first of all, how long has that success been going? Is it just something that you were, let's say, you launched a course and the course started off really, really well. You made X amount of dollars. But that's probably because it was a really big launch that you did. And then after that, it's going to, taper off. And so you have to figure out what's a consistent thing that you can expect. And the only way to know that is to give it time and see what comes of it. Like with my course, when my course launched, that, the launch went really well. And then obviously as things, go on, it became more of a consistent, not as big as the launch, but a consistent amount coming in every month. And so that's how you can sit down and I just crunch the numbers. You just crunch the numbers and say, okay, this is how much I'm making from, my one area or multiple areas a month. How much do I need to quit my day job and just go all in? And, you have to take into consideration you have to pay your own taxes. It's not coming out of your pay anymore. And obviously this changes depending on what countries you're in, but yeah, there's a lot of aspects that go into it.
Absolutely. There's a lot to think about. And I think it's not as easy as just giving up your work as soon as you earn the same amount of money as your work, because there is a lot more to consider. And also it has to be a long-term kind of thing. And also, in my case, for example, I waited until I had several income streams. If, for example, you're doing writing or low content books or anything like that, make sure you've got other income streams as well, because one thing could go down. I doubt Amazon will ever shut down, but you just don't know what could happen. Your account could be shut down.
Right. I was just going to say that.
Yeah. And that's happening quite a lot. So you just don't know, if it's as secure as your job. And like I said earlier, even your job isn't as secure as we think sometimes, but it's more secure somehow. And you can always get another job, I think, if you're really worried about it, but it's not as simple as that. And for me, it was finding different income streams and also earning consistently rather than just having a good month or,
right.
I waited until we had a really consistent amount coming in. And I was able to start this because my husband had a full-time job and he was supporting us in a way, but I was also doing other things. I was doing another job. And it's when I left that job that I thought, now I'm all in. But it took a while. And now my husband has left his job and has come in with me. And that took 2 years because we wanted to make absolutely sure that it was worth, because that, due to his job, that's how we built our life. We built our life on his job, really.
Right.
And we wouldn't have been able to do that I wouldn't have been able to start this without him doing his job. So we're very grateful to have had that. And it was hard to leave it as well, because that security suddenly goes. It does feel a bit more insecure when you leave a job like that. But at the same time, we're really happy we did it because it's so nice to be able to work together and to build something together. So those are the positives, but it doesn't take away from the fear, almost the fear of something going wrong, or the fear of it not working out, and I think that's always going to be there. So for me, it was really important to have kind of like a safety net to make sure that we had several income streams, and that really helped. And my advice, if we have to give advice, like you said, we're not giving advice, but if I had to, I would say, make sure you start it on the side of something else and then wait and see how it goes.
Right.
Because a lot of people do think they can suddenly make a full-time living from publishing books or any other thing. And it's not as simple as that sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's, and then you've got these commercials on YouTube and everything else that tell you that you can, drop everything and in 3 easy steps, you can start making, $15,000 a month and
in your sleep.
While you're sleeping. The phrase passive income just gets thrown around so much nowadays because it's a trigger. We're going to have to talk about
passive. Yeah, we're going to have to talk about passive income because I find that a really interesting topic as well.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that in another episode. And one thing that people need to keep in mind is that, and you can obviously attest to this, is that when you do take that step and you go all in and you quit your day job and or night job, whatever, and go all in, there's a really, really good chance you're going to end up working more hours, at least when you first start.
I think it's guaranteed.
Yeah.
I would go as far as that. Yeah, definitely. We work so much harder now than we ever did in any job that we've done before. I
mean, obviously the benefit is you're seeing 100% of the, the results from it, as opposed to your company, a business seeing it and you getting paid X amount of dollars an hour or salary or whatever. So, there's definitely positives and negatives to it as well. But yeah, I understand there's that fear, and it's, I know, especially, if you're doing something on the side and it's going well and you've got a consistent amount in there, it gets that mind going where, okay, I really am not happy where I'm at with my regular job. Should I take that step? Should I, quit my job and go all in? And it's, again, can't answer it for you, but one thing I would definitely say is, like I said before, is making sure that that you see a consistent amount of money coming in. I mean, it obviously doesn't have to be to the penny, but you can see between this amount and this amount is what I can estimate. And it's going to take, I would say, a good solid, 1 or 2 years to know what's really consistent. And then having some kind of nest egg to fall back on, because, like you said, Nuria, things happen. Sites go down, even if it's, Amazon, right. I doubt Amazon's going to go away, but they could close down your account. They could just have a glitch and the servers could go down, and, they could make it so, there's, if you're doing anything with shipping, we know that there's been huge shipping issues, things that are completely out of your control from a business aspect, but completely control your income coming in. And so things like that you need to be aware of. And even though it's terrible that these things have happened in the past, the good thing is we can learn from them and learn to prepare as much as possible. And the only way to really prepare for something like that is to financially prepare, and make sure that I've got this nest egg set aside. So, if something does come up, that I do have something to fall back on.
Very true. I think as long as you have that security net behind you, you feel better about doing it. And I think you make better decisions by doing that as well. I think that when you're under pressure, the decisions that you sometimes make are not the best ones because you're under pressure and you're not maybe thinking in the same way as you should when you're more relaxed about it. Or, I think it's a really personal choice for everyone. I think there isn't one way of really describing it or one way of advising people. I think each situation is different in each household, and people will have to make that decision for themselves as best as they can. I'm just a very cautious person generally, and I'm careful and I consider things carefully, but I can also be a bit reckless sometimes. So it just depends on. I wonder if my situation would have been different if I'd really hated my job before, I think those kind of things can influence the way you react and the way you make your decisions. But generally, I would say it's up to you. It's up to each individual situation and how you feel about it. But this is what happened in my case, and you've just told us how it was in your case. Quite similar in a way. I think most people would say be cautious and make sure you have certain things in place before you go all out or all in.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. And like you said, if there's people, if you really don't like your job, then that risk reward is, it might be worth it for you, and that's going to be an individual basis. If you're, and that's something, again, you talk to your significant other and spouse or whatever, and definitely. Get their input, because chances are if you're miserable, then you're probably coming home miserable, and they don't want that for you either. And so they will be supportive of that decision. But
or your job could make you ill. Sometimes a job can make people ill. In that case, I would say jump. There's nothing worth risking your health. So I mean, it really, again, it comes down to being a personal decision, made on an individual and family basis. But I mean, it's definitely something that, it's anybody who's been doing any kind of side business on this, that they're always thinking in their back of their minds, when can I take that step? And unfortunately can't give you a clear-cut answer on that, because the last thing I want is for you guys to go back and be like, well, Keith and Nuria said that I can quit tomorrow, and that's not and that's not what's happening. But we are hoping that you from what we've been talking about helps you understand that one, we understand that it is a scary decision to make, and it's okay to be scared about it. It's a big decision. Although getting back to what you were saying, is that if you don't despise your job and it's an okay job, but you do think you're at that point, and who will know better than you and your family to know if you're at that point where you think that your side business, if I was just able to put more time into it, I know I can take it to the next level. But I can't do that when I'm working in this other job. Then you can possibly, step away from that full-time job and take that chance. And if it doesn't work out because you didn't despise that job, you could always go back to it. Maybe, these are decisions, obviously, that you have to have and kind of figure out on your own. But again, it's the important thing is to know that, one, you're not alone. We've all thought about it. Many of us have done it. But it's, again, it really comes down to being prepared as far as I'm concerned. Absolutely.
Be prepared for it, preparing your business for success. and preparing yourself for success. And that's really the best advice, if I was giving advice, I could do.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, this has been another great mastermind, Nuria, and a big thank you to each and every one of you who decided to tag along. If you enjoyed today's mastermind, it would mean the world to us if you follow or subscribe to the podcast on your favorite listening platform. And while you're at it, go on and give us a review. We'd love to read them. And I know that we really have a great topic next week.
Yes, I think the topics have been amazing so far. I've loved talking to you about them, but next week's topic is going to be a big one again. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Super excited. Until next time, I'm Keith Wheeler.
And I'm Nuria Corby. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining the Mastermind today. Be sure to follow the podcast on your platform of choice and tell a friend who would enjoy it too. Your support is greatly appreciated. This has been the Masterminding Success Podcast.